Hey guys, welcome back to another special episode of Musings. I got Mr. Richard Aceves. Did I say it correctly?
Yes,
Yeah,
I think so. Aceves.
That's what I said.
Close.
Half Mexican, so that's me, not you. You're full.
Yeah, okay.
And I also have my business partner and dear friend, Mr. AJ Vella, back on the podcast as well.
Hi.
And we have decided to wear the same shirts. I'm sorry, I thought I sent you the same memo.
I never got a shirt. I love that you're Australian. You're wearing an American flag mustache.
Yeah.
Anywho, moving forward.
Boy, it's awkward silence. Yep.
Either way, we had a quick chat for about 30 minutes a couple of weeks back, and sort of felt like we had to cut it short because it was 4 a.m. here, and you were chilling out, and we wanted to expand on a few things. Now we're going to start today's podcast with a couple of questions from the Mood Prep online group that I have that they really enjoyed the last podcast. I think this is the fourth time catching up as well, so we'll just expand on a few things there. But firstly, AJ, for those listeners that haven't sort of come across you yet, if you can give us like a quick brief rundown of what it is you do and why you've got such a delightful beard.
Oh, thank you. Well, I've been growing this for quite some time now. All my life, actually. I was born with it.
You got pulled out by it.
Pulled out by it. Ripped out. It's a bit brutal. That's okay. You're right. It's good.
Good.
What do I do? My focus is a lot on human movement and strength and conditioning, effectively. So the Strong Fit stuff was pretty awesome to learn. I kind of drove into a different direction, not blowing smoke, Mr. Richard. Yeah. But really, it's good shit. Well done.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Working with Dave for about 6.5 years. It's pretty good. Building that program here at Funk. Looking at powerlifting development. That's my personal background for a couple of years. Before that was bodybuilding like Arnie, a bit of strongman, and then flow into the functional training regime. And now I'm here. Yeah. In a nutshell.
Yeah. Anyone that wants to learn a bit more about AJ, you can go back and find the Musings podcast with AJ and John Sheridan.
It's quite random.
Yeah, that was random actually.
I think everything that we do here is random, guys. That's the whole point.
Yeah, randomly planned. Yeah, very
order within chaos.
That's perfect. That's exactly right.
Indeed.
So, mate, let's start with a question from Mr. John Sheridan, who is famously known as Chad Wesley Smith's favorite Australian. He goes, I'd be keen for him to expand on the idea of the intent of the session and perhaps examples of how they utilize that idea in different settings. Also interested to hear what his non-negotiables are when training the general population. So let's start with the first one. Do you have a couple of examples and can you expand on the idea of intent of the session, my dear friend?
Intent of the session. Yeah, definitely. So how you approach any workout, there needs to be a goal behind it. You can't just show up blindly and go, okay, I'm going to move for 45 minutes. And therefore I did 45 minutes of work, which is, I mean, I guess better than not doing 45 minutes of work, but what was the goal behind it? What's the reasoning behind what you're doing? So for me, the intent behind any workout is today, I haven't trained like 3.5 weeks. I had a very close aunt to me that just passed away, so I had to take care of some family stuff. So the goal for me today was just like spend 3.5 weeks of without training. I'm just going to go hard. Like I have a fuck ton of stress that's been like built up inside me, frustration, anger, all that shit, because I usually let it out training. So I'm just going to go as hard as I can today. So I'm going to pull the rope. I'm going to, just kind of, the intent wasn't I'm going to do all this work. The intent was I'm going to let out all my frustrations in the workout. So I didn't care what the exercises were. Coach picked the exercises. But for me, it was how hard can I truly push myself in this workout? Now there's days. Sorry.
You go.
There's days where you show up to the gym, or you've been going to a CrossFit class, or you're doing your powerlifting sessions, where you just feel beat to shit, right? Maybe the intent is to show up and socialize and be with your community and get a sweat on. Maybe not do something so difficult. So the intent can be different for every person. I've been working with this with my wife quite a bit because she goes to CrossFit classes. And so she'll tell me the workouts, and there's certain things where she knows that her shoulder, her neck's she has like a bulging disc. So she knows like certain things are going to just aggravate the shit out of it. And so it'll be, okay, so what's the goal for today's workout? Do you want to try and kill the time? Do you want to kill the weight? Are we trying to go heavy? Do you just want to try and get to full anaerobic threshold? Are you trying to stay aerobic? What's the reasoning behind the workout, right? If you're programming for yourself, then you have a certain philosophy or a certain bias that you're trying to reach. And so you should always try and go for that. If you're trying to look for Arnie, why should you be trying to be maxing out your back squats every 2 weeks or trying to do a Bulgarian cycle?
Yep.
No, then just go do, bench press and deadlifts and back squats and go to the Globo gym and go do your thing. If you're trying to go to a weightlifting meet, then what's the reasoning behind you trying to go do a 10K row?
So,
right? So just trying to have some sort of goal in the back. For me, I always break it down to like the immediate win of the workout. So the intent behind each workout, right? And then you have kind of like your means goals, the goals that you kind of want to get to. So I want to get to a 350 kilo deadlift. I want to get a muscle up. I want to get a sub 4 minute Fran, right? And then there's the end vision. What do I want to do at the end of this whole fitness journey that I go through? I want to look good naked and be able to do stupid challenges when people say, you look fat. And I say, okay, let's go for a 5K row and see who wins. And I want to be able to perform, right? So what's your end vision? What are the means goals that will help you get to that end vision? And what's that immediate win, that intent behind each workout that you're going to do? For me, that gives a lot more purpose to each training session that you do.
So when you went into the gym after the 3 weeks and you're feeling, fuck, I just got to move something heavy, exert some energy, get rid of this anxiety, this stress, this sadness that you had with that you aren't passing. Do you speak to your coach, Julian, I assume? And you say, hey, this is how I'm feeling. Can you just give me something to do? Or did you go in there with an intent of your own and what to hit?
No, I went in there because we're all training together. Usually I train by myself. So usually Julian's the one that holds the reins on me because I'm stupid. So I'm the guy that walks up to a 250 kilo bar and just tries to pull it, and will pull it. I do the stupid shit in life. And so the stupid challenges that come about, I'm like, oh yeah, let's try it out. 20 unbroken muscle ups. I haven't done any pull-ups in the last 6 weeks. Let's go for it. Why not? And so Julian's the one who's like, don't be stupid. You're going to fuck yourself up. But for me, it's, the intent for me is personal. It's not something that needs to be shared with other people. It can be. So if you're an athlete that has a coach and you go see that person on a regular basis, then you should have that open communication back and forth.
That's very crucial to have that communication with your coach. Let them know how you're feeling when you come in. So
yeah,
you could have the perfect program written up and someone comes in, they've had a shit day. And it's like, well, no, you probably shouldn't be doing what's on that program today, man. You go and throw that fucking bag.
Right.
Half an hour. Well,
that's a hard part with, online programs is they're telling you, if you follow my program, you're going to be this this elite level athlete, right? That's how they sell it. So you can buy Rich Froning's program and all this stuff, but it's you buying it and following it to the T doesn't necessarily make you Rich Froning. The intent that Rich Froning has behind everything he does might be completely different than what you're trying to do, right? And so I think that that's very crucial, and it's a very personal thing. One of the coolest things that I ever got from Julian was when I first started, talking with him about wanting to go to regionals and do all this stuff when I was in my elite days. He's like, well, what are your numbers? Because at the end of the day, you have the numbers as a judge and you have yourself as a judge, and the numbers never lie. So he's like, how many strict pull-ups to kipping pull-ups to butterfly pull-ups do you have? All, what are your actual numbers that you have? But then at the end of the day, it's like, you're your true judge. If you feel like shit, but the programming says to do all this stuff, for me, it's your job as an athlete to communicate to your coach, and your coach to say, hey, let's kind of readdress some of these things and fix them and kind of manipulate them so you have a win for the day. Because if you go in feeling like shit and you lose that workout, meaning that you don't do the times or the time splits or the weights that your coach put out for you to do, you've just lost an entire fight. So you've technically have gone out of the gym feeling worse than you did going in.
And that to me affects you for your subsequent training days as well.
Oh, absolutely. It starts to create anxiety.
Fuck up Tuesday and Thursday and Wednesday, as opposed to pulling back for one session, having, as you said, that win, and then being able to go, cool,
right.
I feel fucking great, back into the groove tomorrow.
Because you go to the gym, let's say you're doing powerlifting, right? And you miss your lifts. the whole day you're thinking, fuck, I shouldn't have missed my lifts. My coach is probably pissed at me. I need to go back and try them again. And now that anxiety builds up, and now you're trying to sabotage yourself even more. Even though your coach, it doesn't matter what anybody else says. Oh, you tried, it was a hard day, whatever. You as a person feel judged by yourself more than anybody else around you.
How many people do you think are consciously aware of that?
0.5%.
Yeah.
Maybe more, right? I think that people are aware of it. I think that they just hide it because they're afraid of being judged. So it's just like being vulnerable. Yeah, nobody wants to be vulnerable, man. You don't want to walk into gym because then you think that you're giving excuses as to why you can't train. There's a difference between laziness and feeling a certain way, right? If you're walking in and you're adrenally fatigued or you have outside stressors and you cannot get rid.
Oh,
it'll click back on. For those that are still listening, Mr. Richard just froze. He'll come back on.
thumb more?
I hope you said thumb.
I did.
Okay. Good. So, all right. So this is some interesting stuff he talks about. As far as the self-awareness component, because this should still be recording, so let's just play along. I think one of the things is like, you know, you miss your list and you leave and you become anxious. It's like that's a global term that we're painting everyone with. And everyone's at different stages of their consciousness and self-awareness. And so it doesn't mean that maybe every single person has that thought arise. Now, what people do with that thought, whether they let that thought go because they realize it's not real, or whether they sort of keep that thought, what's the word, like, and pull it apart more as well. So he might be able to just enter back in. So we'll keep going. Yep. So it's kind of like, let's say somebody misses their lifts and then they get anxious about that. What does it mean? It's like, well, how long do they hold on to that for? There's a certain level of developmental training that will go into that as well, as opposed to saying that they leave there and keep thinking about their lifts, which there is definitely a large part of the population that will do that. So this is where it's also like not just about winning, it's about learning how to miss your lifts, learning how to lose, so that you're able to map out a better plan for yourself in the future and set yourself up for more victories.
One of the most powerful things that I've learned with that whole setting yourself up that victory is actually not necessarily failing in the gym, right? So say, for example, hypothetically powerlifting. So if you're constantly going heavy and missing lifts, what are you enforcing there? Constantly going heavy and missing lifts. It's a good thing to learn how to miss lifts and be okay with that, as you said, but also going in and having an appropriate programming and adaptable programming with your coach, that communication. You're like, okay, cool, you're feeling like shit today, come in to that win, finishing that win, feel good about it.
Yeah.
You fuck up, cool, that's okay. Learn how to feel good about fucking up. It's so powerful and beneficial to be in that positive mindset from that, and learn that it's not negative; it's a perception thereof.
Yep. Yeah. Well,
it's really fucking hard to do,
for sure. And so, like, if you're a boxer and you're going into a fight, you don't want to get beaten the fuck out of, like, beaten up in training. You know, it doesn't mean that you want to be able to just maul people and have a soft training camp leading into the fight. It's just making sure that boxer isn't having this negative, you know, thoughts or emotions or whatever associated with that ring. And the warm-ups that go with it and all that sort of stuff. So the anxiety around it's pretty common, and I think it's very human. And it's then looking at the developmental work to make sure that we learn what to do with that, you know, as opposed to just avoiding it. It's like, no, it's a part of humanity. It's a part of us. How do we make sure that we can continue to have that experience and understand it and move through it rather than simply avoiding it? And I don't think that's what Richard's saying, is to avoid it. I think setting yourself up for winning is very crucial. Here, he's back on. Welcome back.
Just quickly on. Hey, welcome. Hi, good.
So, are you there?
Right,
yeah.
Shout out.
Can you hear us?
Richard's back, ladies and gentlemen.
Why can't I hear you?
Okay. You heard it. Turn on your speaker, my friend.
Hope you heard that.
Sorry. He'll be back. He'll sort it out. So what you're saying?
MMA is a really good example of that as well. I've listened to a lot of interviews and podcasts with people going to fight camps, and there's some gyms that have really good relationship. Talking about what you were just talking about, just branched on while I had the disconnection.
Cool.
They talk about they're training for a fight. They're in fight camp. They're rolling through, and there's some particular gyms that will just go to the max, and they get pummeled and pummeled and pummeled. There's others that pull that back and really technique focused, anxiety focused on the breathing, calm down, get used to it. And you get the sweet ones in between, where the coach is like, all right, it's time to pummel you. Or I've heard instances where the coach is like, they speak to the guy sparring with the athlete going into the fight, and they say, hey, I want you to pull your punches a little bit.
Yeah.
Just hold back, give him a win. Like, let him feel good about this session. He's fucking beat up right now.
Or just defend. Like there's a strategy once again, an intent going into it. So I want to go back to a couple of things that you're talking about. I've got a few points here, Rich. I'm not sure exactly where you finished off, but what I'm getting from before when you were talking about intent is that I got that there's two types of intent.
Yeah.
Right. One type is the objective intent. So the objective intent being what's the programming, what's the goal, what, am I going to hit 60 muscle ups or whatever it may be. I mean, that's a decent amount. Right. Maybe you've got no legs, but either way, looking at that. Otherwise, what I'm also hearing from you is that there's a subjective intent. So, I'm frustrated was one of your example before that I'll expand on in a moment. But it's also like, I'm going in for, I want to have this emotional one. I want to be able to sort of, be able to stick to a plan. And that even though that plan may be objective, the plan itself is somewhat subjective for an objective result, right? And so I'm seeing this sort of like duality in those things of going, what's the objective intent? What's the subjective intent? And then I think something that's overarching is like, what is the result that would make all of that obsolete? What is the result of this hour, this session, this whatever, that would, if you achieved, would make everything else obsolete, right? And so, for example, let's say just getting out all my frustration. It's like, cool. So if you deadlift 200 or you deadlift 160, does it matter? Or would you prefer to deadlift 200 and keep your frustration? So then we start to see what really is the important result and intent out of that workout and session as well. And so I think that sometimes we don't separate the subjective or objective, or we become reductionists and just choose objective or just choose subjective, as opposed to learning how to integrate both into a session and from a coaching perspective.
Yeah, I mean, it's for me, I do a lot of assessments with people that are, hurting, and to say it kindly,
where they emotionally hurting or.
No, physically. So they can't put their arms overhead. Yeah. So they haven't been able to press for 2 years overhead, like without pain, because their shoulders just blown out. And so we have an entire conversation before the assessment. And I go, okay, so you want to be able to press overhead. Cool. Now I learned my mistake by doing an assessment like this. I said, you want to be able to press overhead? It's like, yeah. I get the guy. I do the whole, openers, all this stuff. I teach him all kinds of cool things. At least I think I'm teaching him all kinds of cool things, right? For me, they're very cool. And I get him to press a PVC pipe overhead. No pain. I was like, winning. And he goes, that's not really pressing. It's a PVC pipe. But you haven't been able to put your arms overhead for like 2 years. You haven't been able to press a PVC pipe overhead in 2 years because it hurts. So the intent wasn't correct, right? Mm-hmm. The goal for him was to go back to his old PR press. So then it starts to become a very clear intent, that instant win. Where is the gratification coming from? Mm-hmm. As I mentioned last time, like I think that we live in I like to call it the Rocky Balboa generation, where we watched Rocky Balboa go from the dumps to running up some stairs and hitting a fucking dead cow and now being a champion, right? And so for me, that whole montage is what people expect in a training session. Mm-hmm. And that's why CrossFit's so amazing, because you do fucking Fran or you do Murph or whatever you do, and you walk out, you're like, whoa, I just did all this stuff. But as soon as that hard-hitting, massive results start to die out, then you're screwed. Mm-hmm. And that's where you start to go into that downhill slope. And so the intent behind getting a clear intent behind a session is, what is it that you truly want? Not what do I want from you, or what do you think I want from you, or what do you want to show me, but what do you want? Yeah. And that's a very, very important thing to clarify, because people are willing to sacrifice leg and limb to try and make people happy.
Dude, totally. All right, there's two things there. I'll sort of bleed them together a little bit. So before we talked about having, like, how crucial communication between athlete/client and coach is, right? And so this is where one of the first things, and like one of our systems we have here is called Safe, Strong, Sexy, which first initially was like movement. First, the movement must be based, it's safe. And then we strengthen the movement, and then, it becomes sexy, it becomes movement mastery. Right. And then I understood that actually extended to a whole range of things. It extended to building a safe community, or a safe space rather than a strong community and a sexy vision. And I sort of like started to pull this apart and understand it. But that's where it was like, safe space gets jerked around a bit, as in like, I need a safe space. But it's actually like, if we don't feel safe, if we don't feel safe, then we won't make ourselves become vulnerable. Whereas the safety in that actually allows us to put us in a position where we are vulnerable, and on the other side of that vulnerability is where we grow. And so that's up to the coach to do that. And the owner of the gym or the facility and that sort of space to make sure that they are open and relaxed and polite and have a certain level of, you know, inner and self-authority whilst being communal at the same time. So for you then, before I want to talk about the Enneagram a little bit later on, but for you then, you've had a gym before, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, very good. And so understanding then and understanding what you know now, what do you think is the most crucial thing that coaches can do to let their clients feel safe to become vulnerable?
Be fucking passionate.
Yeah.
That's simple. Give a damn. Don't quit the Instagram bullshit. Quit the trying to be elitist. Quit the science terms. Quit all that. Just care. Just care for someone. It's not that difficult.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? People understand when you care and when you don't. Mm-hmm. And if you don't care, they will pick up on that right away. They'll stay because it's safe and they have friends or whatever it may be, but people will understand when you're trying to challenge them to a certain point, when you're trying to belittle them because they don't know enough, whatever it may be. Just fucking care. Like if someone's calling you, pick up the phone. You know what I mean? And if you're going to open yourself up to be that type of person, then you have to accept what's going to come with it. I mean, I get calls throughout the whole day, throughout the whole night, but I'm there for them. Like whoever I take on as a client, that's why I'm very picky with my clients, is because if I take you on as a client, like it's a full-time job. Like I'm on the phone with you all the time and I actually listen to your problems. I don't just zone out and go do something else. Like I'm present. So be present, care about the person, and do that. And that will spread like wildfire because nobody else gives a shit about that. People are like hour in, hour out.
Yep. What about you, AJ?
Be passionate about what you do.
Yeah. Yeah. I can agree with that. What about you?
I think it's phenomenal, having been doing this for such a long time, to see this really beautiful, gradual and slow. It's always, well, not slow, it takes as long as it takes, but it's progression. You're seeing people come in and you can see them enter the gym for the first time in this shell. And I remember when I first noticed that, I was like, fuck, I'm going to crack your shell. Like, I'm going to get you open. I'm going to get you to speak. I'm going to get you some of your problems. And then a couple of weeks later, they break down and then they'll tell me like, hey, I'm having a bad time, broke up with my partner, whatever. You're like, cool, good. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. Not good.
Yeah. Good. You're cute, Billy.
Billy Bob.
Good
yeah.
thing.
That's a super simple example, but there's other levels as well. You see people getting comfortable and then actually starting to push their boundaries and be super confident with themselves. And not only in the movement, you see it trickle into their life as well outside of this 1 hour that they're spending in a gym. Because like you said, it's not just 1 hour. It's a trickle effect.
Yeah. I mean, I have one of my oldest clients. I mean, she's now one of my closest friends. Like she was at my wedding and everything. You know, the one thing that really allowed her to change is that every time she came into the gym, nothing else mattered. Like all the stressors from the outside world went away and she was able to be fully present for that 1 hour at the gym. You know, and that's what we're trying to create. We're trying to create a moment of presence. Everybody's talking about let's be in the flow and let's do this and let's do that. And it's like, yeah, so then create a place where people are excited to go to. Create a place where people can't wait to get there, where people are looking up things while they're at work so they can come to the gym and show you what they've learned on their own about fitness and movement. Like that's what you want to create. That's the fucking community. But if you have people that are showing up that are dreading being there, let them go, man. Go find something that you want to be a part of. This is obviously not it. Like the whole point of CrossFit, what made it so amazing was the community. Like that's what I love about CrossFit and the whole functional fitness revolution and all this is we're creating a community where you as a gym owner, as a main coach, are able to create the vibe that you want. So create it and let that market come to you.
The people will come to attract the right people.
Yeah, I had the hardest time opening up my gym because I was like, everybody would ask me, who's your market? Like all my business mentors would ask me, who's your market? And I was like, everybody. I love everybody, man. Just anybody can come train. But then I had clients where I was just like, God, fuck me, man. Just go home. Like, please don't show up. Please don't show up. You know what I mean? Like, that's not my market. Like, that person should have been gone a long time ago.
That speaks fucking volumes, doesn't it? Not from a coach's side, from the athlete and the coach. It's like
you as a coach have such a niche market, but you can monetize and you can value the shit out of it. You can gain so much value by knowing who your market is.
Yeah. You also stop wasting people's time.
Yeah, I mean, but there's people that you just don't want to deal with. So it's like, why deal with them? I mean, I'm not saying to be an asshole like, nah, we don't want you here, but it's like, find what kind of people, what kind of personality types you're attracted to, and bring those in. And the other is like, if you're clashing, what's the point? There's never going to be any moments of vulnerability ever, because you're just going to be clashing all the time. Even if you try and drop your guard, it's always going to be a clash, man. It's like that toxic relationship that you break up 7 times.
Yeah.
Same shit.
And
Rip off Band-Aid.
It's interesting because a lot of people that, especially in the community gym scene, right? So your big commercial facilities aren't actually gyms; they're subscription companies, right?
Right.
So they're a subscription company that has a gym. They're the same as Netflix. They just want less people to watch it, and so that's that's neither here nor there. It just is what it is. And so the gyms, you know, like, because that's the thing is like, and I hated on commercial facilities for a while, but then I realized that a lot of people, like millions of people, have changed their life in a commercial facility. Like, there have been thousands upon thousands of trainers and coaches that have come out of commercial facilities and have made significant change in the industry and in the community. So I've got no hate for it, right? Like, it is what it is. But what happens is that people open up the community gyms because they love people, they love fitness, they love coaching, they love health, and then they find themselves a business person. And so what I've seen in the industry at the moment is like, there's those people and the PTs and those that care, and they're about the person, they're about the impact. And then there's now this sort of people coming in that are like, they're fitness business coaches that have never owned a gym, they weren't PTs, they weren't coaches. And what happens is that they're actually just marketers, and then they're wearing the fitness shirt. And then there's this sort of like, this sort of lack of integration, and it's unhealthy. And the coaches and trainers are like, how the hell can we do what we do better? And these people are like, I've got the answer. And, you know, they're basically like, don't sell the bullshit stuff that's like, lose 20 kilos in 5 weeks. But here, hey, let's get 100 leads in 7 days. It's like, you're doing the same exact fucking thing.
So if you know, I started to pay attention to this because for me, I like to correlate different things. And I was with my wife, and we went to a restaurant that we loved, and we were in Southern California, and the quality, the service wasn't the same. And I was like, that's so weird, because this is a place where, I mean, she worked for them. She was a server there, and it was like, this place was run just on point. It was very military the way they ran it, but the service was amazing. The food quality was always on point, all of it, right? And I started to look at it, and I was like, okay, so when my wife was working there was 2 locations. Now there's 6 locations. So I'm like, I wonder what the correlation is between that or a gym with members that runs a systems-based thing. It's no longer passion-driven. It's now, I have this system that I know works, and if I implement it, I will make money out of it. Right? So that's what you look at all these, like, you know, 24-hour fitness, anytime fitness, fitness first, all these places, there's a system in place. The system generates money if you work it the right way. So if you send out the proper amount of emails, if you give enough callbacks on the person, if you do all of this, it will always generate income, right? So at what point does a business owner switch from, this is my passion, this is what I want to do, this is my community, to, dude, I'm so fucking desperate, I need a system. And along comes this marketer guy that has business background and all of this hoo-ha systems that will 1 through 10, you will have 150 members. And they're like, just follow these steps and you will be amazing. You're like, that's what I need. And then all of a sudden you're bought into that system and you're running the system. And then you have a fucking gym that supposedly is meant to be a CrossFit community tribe and all of this bullshit. And it's not. It's a, like you said, it's a subscription-based service. Like that's all they're doing. And so that's where we need to kind of come to is, where is that quality, and how are we raising the standard for us that are truly passionate as coaches and as gym owners? How are we raising that standard? How are we raising the bar so that people need to catch up? Because everybody's just happy settling in this fucking miss standard of 100, 150 members and have them show up 3 times a week and don't push them too hard because we want to keep them. And then, you know what I mean? We'll do a barbecue or we can do this. Like, no, man, just do what you want to do. Go do a fucking whiskey tasting with your gym members and bring bottles in if they want to buy the bottles, or you know what I mean? Like, have a fucking blast, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, this is your fucking wild ass factory that whatever you want to create, you have a group of people that will follow you there.
Mm-hmm. Got to say, we know a lot of community gyms around where we are. And it makes me so happy when I see them take sales calls. They're talking to the person on the phone, like, hey, what can I gym you after? What's going on? And then they go, okay, this is what we do. You know what? You're probably not going to be suited here, but I got a place that I can recommend you go and check out. Like they might call up a powerlifting gym and like, look, we don't really do this sort of CrossFit style. You can go and check out this other gym. So rather than taking this person on just to get an extra fucking client that's probably end up hating that place, being toxic to that community, they guide them in the right direction. And that's fucking rad. It's not about numbers. I'd rather have 50 really fucking good clients as opposed to having 150 people that don't want to be there.
So this is what's really interesting, because it has to be an integration of both the systems you were talking about before and the passion. Let's call it that, right? Because this goes back to chaos and order. Because it's great to have only 50 instead of 150, as long as you can put the rent up, right? So this is the thing as well, that we have to be able to make sure.
You absolutely need both. There needs to be a balance, but I'm not saying that you need to have order within your gym. Yeah. That's a different thing, right? I mean, but there needs to be that passion behind it. Otherwise, the community never grows.
Well, the systems or the order has to be what encapsulates the passion, right? The order doesn't come first, and then it's like, all right, everyone, it's time to be passionate now. It doesn't work that way. We have to care first, right? And then from there, we can figure out how we can best systemize. When I say systemize, I simply mean like a schedule, like, you know, when the emails do go out, like just simple things that suit the individual who's running the business. Right.
Yeah, but where's the quality control? I mean, that's, for me, is where the fuck is the quality control?
I'm not following.
Like, well, who keeps quality of your gym, right? So you have these gyms that are all coming in and they're putting all this stuff up, but then we forget about the quality or the experience for the end user.
Yeah. I think those things can go together, though. I don't think they're exclusive.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not
sending emails when I'm coaching people on the floor.
Why not, dude? Multitask.
No, I mean, I'm too busy on Instagram at that time.
Yeah, that's usually when I'm Instagramming. Facebook.
Yeah.
Also, Shannon, let me just film this. Yeah, sweet. Yeah. Shannon kicking the hashtag.
Yeah.
Kick today in the dick.
Join us. Yeah. So yeah, right. I suppose for me, I'm like,
no, but I mean, that's where
you go.
That to me is where, you know, it all kind of comes together, is within the quality of the gym owners and the coaches, right? Yeah. So being able to develop your identity of who you want to be is part of it. But like you said, if you don't have the business background, you can't pay rent, then you're screwed, right? So being able to uphold a certain quality and deliver a certain value allows you to stick to a point where, hey, 50 kick-ass members is all you need, and the rest is you're on the waiting list.
Sure.
Now you're able to create a value for yourself that allows you to develop what you want to develop, not what the masses are developing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right, and so that to me is a much bigger driving factor as an intent for most of the coaches that we have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, that's what a coach is. Yeah. That's what a coach actually is, right? What you're saying, as opposed to I'm a business person and also I tell people what to do because of the whiteboard, right?
And it goes full circle. Anyone can make a monkey sweat. So it's about educating them.
The monkey sweat?
I've never made a monkey sweat.
Any biologists out there? Help! Can monkeys sweat? What's happening? I'm done.
Oh. Yeah, I know what you're saying, but please continue.
I got you, dude.
Sorry. Yeah, anyone can make a monkey sweat.
We kind of went way off the road on the first question.
We definitely did, but that's good. That's what it's about. It's random. Beautiful chaos, huh?
Yeah.
Anyone can make a monkey sweat, but it's having that education, teaching people growing, as opposed to make a human sweat.
Keep talking. Keep talking. Keep talking. I'm Googling.
Dig it deeper.
Googling right now.
Keep
sweat.
going. Make your point. Stop saying monkey sweat.
Anyone can just throw a workout together. Paraphrase.
Anybody can manage a class.
Exactly. And it's the relationships thereof with the rapport you build with your client base. And it's that passion, that connection. Yeah. And I said it 1,000 times down in 30 seconds, but the education of teaching people how to move their body. When people come into our facility, I say to them, our goal is to get you to not need us. So you can go to another gym, another facility in the future and know how to not fuck yourself up, or know how to roll with your body, learn how you feel, how you operate.
Yeah.
Right. And
it's so powerful when they go,
yeah,
light bulb.
Yeah. Remove the codependency. Before we move on to another question, we've talked a lot about like coaches and clients and athletes and everything from anxiety through to understanding self and all that sort of stuff. One of the biggest things, and I'm going to flick it through to you, I think you'd be really interested. I've talked about it before. I think we talked about it in the car back on the coast earlier this year, but it's the Enneagram, right? The Enneagram is one of the personality tests that I use in all my coaching. And what it does, it shows this really broad example of what almost archetypal individuals are like, both under stress and under security. And so it's a lot of the times we're sort of, we see things like, people get anxious when they miss a lift. It's like, yep. And some people more often than others. And some people will do it more under stress and some people will do it more under security. And it's just like understanding these things about ourselves first. And that's the biggest thing as a coach, is that I see it a lot of the time, people want to know how to influence their athletes and their clients. They want to know how how they learn or what their personality is, but they don't actually spend the time learning what their personality is. They don't understand that, invest the time learning how they learn. Like I sit there in my seminars, I'm like, do you think in words or pictures? And everyone will just go blank for a second. It's like, do you think, is it the thinking at the front of the brain, or is it the back of the brain, or whereabouts is it? It's like, right, how do you learn? And in what circumstance, in what setting? Right. It's like, and so this self-understanding, I think the Enneagram is one of the best ways to at least start that, for lack of a better term, journey of going, look, this is what these personality types are like. It's an extremely fluid model. So it's both horizontal and it's also vertical. So it's like, here are the variations. And then here's the 9 levels of healthiness. Yeah.
As a coach, learning how someone else learns is so powerful. It's unreal.
Saves time.
And it's so efficient as well. And you have that instant rapport as well when you can communicate with someone. You understand how they operate and how they communicate. It's almost like just fucking their brain, fucking their mindset, but it's not. It's a good word for it.
What are you referring to?
How to utilize someone else's communication skills for
just adapting. So behavioral adaptability is one of the most, it's one of the hierarchical advantages that coaches can have, in the sense of being able to not adapt their personality, adapt their behavior, right? And so if we actually learn to listen to our clients and our athletes, they'll tell us how they learn. They'll tell us how they feel. They won't even know they're doing this.
We're not even asking them to tell us. It's observation.
Yeah, even like simple things like IQs. It's like if people are looking up, they're actually more visual. More often than not, people looking more towards like where the ears are. That's how I remember it. The more auditory.
Example, you're explaining the workout of the day, and there's people in the crowds like,
they just want to get shit done.
They just want to see and watch.
Yeah. So it's really interesting. So I think in that circumstance, it's it's the fifth in my coaching commandments. It's the 15th one, which is the overarching one. It's behavioral adaptability, and you can't learn to adapt your behavior if you don't know what your fucking standard behavior is. Right. Bring control of that, and you have this self-understanding. So that's where it all starts. But I'll flick you through the Enneagram again. I would be really interested to see what you get and your thoughts on it as well.
Okay. You're just gonna flick it over to me like that?
Well, you have to do the test. Yeah.
Oh, I need to do the test. I haven't done the test. I'm not gonna lie to you.
No, I know. Yeah.
I know you sent it to me, but flick it over to me.
Yeah. Is that an Australian term?
It is now.
It is. So just before we move on to the next question, monkeys do sweat, by the way.
Yes.
Like many warm-blooded mammals, primates have sweat glands all over their bodies, so they do sweat. When monkeys sweat, the water in their bodies evaporates to help them release heat and cool off,
just like our beards.
I like it.
All right, my friend, you ready for the second question?
Not hot in summer, people.
I think so.
Okay. I'd love to know if they have started expanding their principles to other sports / fitness disciplines, example, endurance sports, and how he thinks they might translate. Thank you, Courtney.
Bam. The principles can be adapted to any sport. So people always think that the strong fit is a methodology. They're principles of movement and the fundamentals of the body. I mean, you can adapt it to anything you want to. You know, it's hard to understand the concept of what strong fit is until you understand it, and then you can see it in everyday life. And so the hardest thing that we have is people think that we're doing strongman movements and sleds and rope pulls and, you know, sandbag carries and cleans and all this kind of burly, beardy kind of situational, you know, exercise. But the principles can apply to anything you want it to. You know, I always take it back to the basics. And, you know, if you go watch the original podcast at Barbell Shrugged with Julian, like for me, that was one of the coolest things that people ever were able to experience, because it's a very basic level of what we're doing now, but it allows you to just see where the gaps are, right? If you're looking at endurance sports, is just take a look at the gaps of what you're missing in your training for that sport, right? I love food. I don't know if you guys have noticed that. And so for me is I take everything and I decompose everything. So you're doing 100-mile races, okay? So you need to run. So that's a hinge movement. So now what can I do in the hinge pattern that can make you stronger from your core to your extremities, right? I start looking at your race. So you're doing races that are 100 miles long. Mainly, you know, 99% of your training is done above the 10-mile kind of range. I don't know, you know. So why don't we do mile repeats, 800 repeats, 400 repeats, sled sprints, sled drags? Why don't we add things that are missing in the gap of your training curriculum? And so whenever I get people, right now I'm training a couple NHL players. I'm helping coach a couple of the rugby sevens players. And so as I start to get these guys, these MARSOC guys, I take a look at what their sport specific applications are, and I decompose them down to the most basic levels, and I see what they're missing within their training and their programming. So for me is I never want to take over and become your one coach. I want to be able to add in to your gaps. So whatever gaps you may have within your training system, I want to vertically integrate those into your program once, twice, maybe 3 times a week, depending on if it's on season or off season, and then see how you progress. And as long as we're progressing in a positive form, then we're doing well. And if we're not, let's go back to the training, to the kind of the big picture here, and let's see what's missing in it. Was that good?
Yeah.
Well, question number 2 answered. I blacked out. What happened?
Yeah, that's right.
Where are we?
So in short, to clarify that, it's like, yes, it does go across, but the way that we like integrate it into endurance running is deconstructing it, like you mentioned, and then being able to go, well, what is it that we can improve on, and where are the gaps here that we need to improve on, as opposed to, the endurance here is going to carry across to the core strength for whatever reason. It's like, no, well, what's the outcome, and let's reverse engineer and see where the gaps are.
Going back to the basics is what's the intent?
Yeah.
Just like that description of what strong fit is and what you do is pretty bang on. And a lot of people go, I've watched the YouTube videos, I still quite understand what it is and what they do. That's no, that's really good.
It's hard, man. Whatever you want it to be.
Yeah.
You know, that's what it is. We can go as deep as you want it to, or as basic as you want it to be. And that's up to each individual coach or athlete, right? So for me, I feel like my job as, you know, Julian's right-hand guy is I try to take everything and make it as user-friendly as possible, because he'll go on tangents or go off, and then we're like, what the fuck was that? And so I'm trying to bring it, and so I have like stories upon stories of different ways that someone could relate to what Julian is trying to say, or what the strong fit principle means.
Yeah.
And that's just what we try to do, man. But it can be applied to anything you want to apply it to. I mean, everyday life. Look at now what we're doing with the nervous system, it's like, look at a bar fight. Like, you're there socializing, having a good time. You're in the parasympathetic and the flow state, right? And some dude comes over and kisses your girl. You're like, whoa, what the fuck? Immediately go into a sympathetic state. And what's the first thing you do is you gauge at the guy and you see if you can A, take him on, or if B, you should grab your girl and run away, right? but you're like, oh shit, I need to be an alpha male because otherwise I can't provide for my significant other, so therefore my partner, so therefore if I can't provide for her, why would you want to stay with me? So I need to stay here and fight. So now you're staying there to fight, but you're trying to socialize to see if you can kind of back this down a little bit, and then you can't socialize, so you go into a fight. Right? What happens if you lose a fight? You immediately go. Have you ever seen bar fights like on YouTube? I don't know if you ever YouTube
rigid, big blocky haymakers.
Yeah, they start just fucking hitting, right?
Yeah.
And so as soon as that happens, is you have you win the fight and you want to buy drinks for everybody, and you tell that guy that you're the big boss on campus and whatnot. Or B, you start to lose the fight and you get almost into the fetal position. You start to go into a flee state. You can't run away. He keeps beating the shit out of you. You get into the fetal position. You're now in a frozen state, right? And you go into a depressive state. You win the fight. You go back to parasympathetic flow on top of the world, and you have this magnificent high, right? So that can be applied to a workout. You do Fran, and you're starting Fran, and you're trying to socialize and everything. And then you start doing Fran, you're like, just stay in the focus, just flow, just keep moving. And then you're looking at the clock, and all of a sudden you start to get super stressed out. And then all of a sudden you go to the sympathetic state, you start trying to thrust the bar up as hard as you can. And then all of a sudden you drop the bar, and you're like, oh, fuck. And then you have those clients that just look at the bar when they have like 7 more thrusters to go. You're like, dude, let's fucking go pick up the bar. And they're like just frozen, dude, absolutely gone. And they're just looking at the bar. And there is nothing you as a coach can do at that state, no matter how much yelling you do, because they're just not there. And so you're yelling and yelling, and at some point, they go to a point in their head, the nervous system takes them to, hey, we can finish this workout, we can do this. And they go back to like a socializing state, a flow state, and they finish the workout unbroken. You're like, why did you need that 45-second to 2-minute break, dude? What just happened? Well, bro, he went from a fucking almost I'm going to die state, the nervous system interpreted it that way, to a, hey, I can win this. And then he came back to, right? Now what happens is maybe the next 3 days he was doing thrusters wrong and his shoulder starts to hurt. The nervous system starts to take over. And so now you have Fran 6 months later, but the body remembers what happened during the last Fran. So what happens to anybody that's actually done Fran to full effort? They're anxious as shit. I almost puke before. If anybody says we're doing Fran right now, I'm going to puke. Fuck that. Nope, I don't want to. I will try and think of every excuse in the book to not do it, right? Because in my head, I'm thinking, well, I have to get under 230. I need to do this. I need to do this. I'm already in an anxious state. So now I go back to train, and we're like, okay, we can do this. My body's already in an anxious fight state. It's in a sympathetic state. So am I going to do better or worse?
So there's definitely going to be a deep rabbit hole getting into it. I probably want to trail off for 4 hours. Yeah. But if you had someone hypothetically in that Fran state and they've gotten to that frozen point, what would your advice to them be? How do you pull yourself back out of that quickly? Wait the 45 seconds till your brain clicks in and goes, hey, man, come on. Or is there some kind of breathing pattern you can hit to go, cool, let's pull it back, pull it back, pull it back.
Did it before, man. Safe space.
Safe space.
Absolutely. You need to create a safe space for them to allow them to be able to say it's okay to come back. So if you have somebody in that deep frozen state, you just, rather than yelling at them, go talk to them. Hey, man, are you all right? Do you need help? You don't need to finish the workout. It's all right. If you want to stop right now, you're more than able to stop right now. Those are the worst things you could say to a human being. When there's a task to be completed and you say, you can stop right now and quit if you want to.
Leave it.
Just stop. Oh, fucking A, dude. Right? But you start to create a safe space again for them. So they're like, okay. Then it brings them out of it, right? They're like, oh, no, I can do this, right? And so now we can actually start going back towards what is the intent of the workout and what are we trying to accomplish? And can we do it more efficiently? Right? So is Fran the best way to do Fran? Right? Are we going to get the most benefit out of Fran? Or could we get a better benefit out of Fran saying, we're going to do 3 sets without rest of thrusters to pull-ups of max reps? Do you think that may benefit the athlete more? Right? It takes the competition out of other people kind of away, but it allows them to push in a different scenario. So you start to see, again, you start looking at different archetypes and personalities, and the more task-driven feminine personalities versus the more masculine, just give me a task and I'll finish it no matter at what cost, right? And then you start to look at wellness. I mean, the spectrum is just so massive. But again, going back to A, the intent, and B, the nervous system, you can benefit clients so much more than,
That's where
yeah.
having that relationship with your client, knowing what type of person they are, how they communicate, where they're at, is so beneficial. Because there's one person that might, say, hey, dude, pick the bar up, come on. And they're like, yeah, I know. And pick it up and go. As what you said before, the other one's like, man, it's okay. Take a breath. You'll be fine.
Yeah. Going back to endurance athletes, I mean, you have, guys that run 100 miles, but they bonk every time at 50 miles. Why don't we start looking at the 50-mile mark, 70-mile mark, wherever they bonk, and see why they're bonking, right? Mm-hmm. So maybe they're bonking because they're taking so many carbohydrates to try and stay, in the flow, but the carbohydrates are meant to be in the sympathetic state to digest. Mm-hmm. So maybe that's why they're puking their guts out and losing it. Mm-hmm. So maybe why don't we give them fats instead so they can stay in the parasympathetic longer? Mm. That's something that we're starting to kind of beta test out right now. Coach is working hard on that one on the nutrition side. Mm-hmm. But rather than being reactive to what you think your system was at, why don't we become proactive to where your system should be, your nervous system?
I love that.
Right? And so that's where we can actually start to look at a lot of this stuff. And for me, it's, you can know all the progressions and you can know how all the beautiful cues and everything, but if you don't know the state in which the person is coming in to train at, mm-hmm. are you truly being beneficial for them?
Yep.
Principles, strong fit can help towards endurance sports.
Thank you, Courtney and Rich.
Yeah.
So Steph asks, I'd be keen to know some of the cues he uses to identify what state, here we go, great question, what state individuals are in when they come into the gym, and then how he works with a group that are all in different states so we can maximize the value everyone gets out of the session.
I love it. Yeah, so, I mean, I get to take over gym classes every once in a while, which is kind of sad because I love coaching classes and I love having a fun time with a bunch of people. But it's just talking to people, right? So I just kind of pick up where they're at. And if you're with your clients a whole lot, then if you've known your clients for 2 to 3 years, you can tell when they're walking in, they're having a bad day or if they're having a great day, mm-hmm. And so being able to adjust to that is, I think first is educating your clients or your members as far as how the nervous system works and what states you can be in. And then from there is, rather than being objective as to what state they're in so they don't feel judged and you take away that safe space for them, I've had all of my mentorees put kind of emoji stickers on the whiteboard with different warm-ups, pre-warm-ups. Mm. So people would show up to class earlier, and based on what state you're in after you've been educated on kind of, the nervous system and understanding that anxiety and stress is just a function of the body, and same with anger and same with depression or internals, right, being in that frozen state, then we can actually start to take a look at how we can do. If you're in a happy socializative state, then just hang around, talk to people, go do your openers or your homework that a coach has provided for you. If you're in an angry state, go pick a fight with something you can win. So I love using sandbag tosses just because it's a very simple exercise that anybody from grandma to a 2-year-old kid to an elite level athlete can do. And so I would pick a sandbag and I would say, go do as many sandbag tosses as you want to let out all the anger that you have inside of you, right? If you're in an anxious state, I would pick like a sandbag carry into an oblique opener. So what that would do is I would basically create a small panic attack, and I would gain control of that panic attack, therefore bringing you back to a socialative state. And if I was in a depressed state, then science says that you just need to get a dopamine rush, right? So what you got to do is some bicep curls and some chest pumps, dude.
Chest pump.
Yeah, absolutely. If you get a chest pump, dude, that's where happiness and love lies, man, is in the chest. Absolutely. Get like full contraction of that shit. Go do some hammer curls to a song that you like and just go 20 seconds on, 10 seconds off. And
go
just
with us, buddy.
Yeah.
It's a lovely day.
Lovely day, dude. It's my favorite one to do. And so for me, those are very simple ones. You can get more creative as you start to understand it more. But yeah, that's a great way for people to just kind of come in, do their own thing, and then everybody can come to the whiteboard and everybody's back to being, socializing and happy to be there and everything. And then we can go through the whole hierarchy together. And that's something that we go through like seminar and coaches week, as far as like programming for the hierarchy and how we want to take people from an awareness state to awareness action, so on and so forth. But that's kind of what we've been working with, and it's been working wonders. I mean, we can't get people to go home from gyms and people are just happier. They're opening up. Like, it's impressive.
It's beautiful.
The mental state of people leaving the gym is so much better than it used to be.
Yeah. Full circle. There's that trickle effect. It's not the
Absolutely, man. It's massive.
How's that wine in the can?
It's delicious.
Aluminum.
I can't wait to come to Australia again. I'm going to get you wine in a can.
That's horrible, dude.
Yeah.
You say that.
You say that until you're like, this is really optimal.
Efficient.
I can just put it in. Yeah, it's like a flask. Great answer to wrap that up. So cool, man. Look, I think that's interesting, pulling apart 3 questions and looking at all that. There's so much content. I think we've left also again with almost more questions than we started with. So for you, what I'm curious is like, what is on the tip of your thoughts at this point in time? What's sort of emerging, and what are you most interested in and intrigued by at this stage?
Oh man, that's a hard one. There's so much. I'm really diving into the emotional side of things, the emotional mapping. I don't know what's up.
When you say emotional mapping, like, can you paint a picture of what that model or what that map is?
Yeah, man. I don't want to say too much, because the problem with this stuff is that it starts to sound like voodoo and hippie and kind of trippy out there.
Sure.
But something I've been working with now, and for me, I have, this is just on my opinion and my basis only. I have been able to map out how certain people store traumas. And so based on those traumas, I start to see certain imbalances when they exercise or don't exercise, and I start to see pain being stored in certain places.
And when you say places, you mean places in the body?
Yes.
Yeah, so like muscular.
So shoulders or hips or, low back, 4-packs. And so this is something that, we started reading Willem Reich, and he had this kind of muscle armoring come about. Character Analysis, Willem Reich. Amazing book. There it is. Bam. Winning, dude. Yeah. And so we started to kind of pay attention to that. And for me I'm a very hands-on person. I need to understand things myself. And so I test a lot. And Coach was talking to me about muscle armoring. Actually, last time we were in Melbourne, and we started looking at the 4-pack as holding anxiety. And that was Willem Reich. That wasn't us. And from there, I kind of started taking it further and further and further. And I started to notice certain patterns happen depending on if people had traumas in their past based on, I call it empathy or frustration. Again, these are my words, and they could be very powerful, so we have to be very careful as to how they're used.
Sure.
But for me, empathy is something where, if it's towards yourself, it's a stress that you have about yourself, about a certain trauma that you had absolutely no control over, right? So whether that's being abused sexually or physically by somebody where you have absolutely no control, right? Even though you tried to get control of that situation, there was nothing you could do. So for me, that's an empathetic side towards self. And then you have a frustration side of something. For example, you were forced to play sports, or you fell in love with the sport, but maybe you didn't get to a level that you wanted to. Or you were in the military, but at a certain point you didn't reach that level that you wanted to, and you wish you could have done things differently. And there were things that you could have, there were decisions that were made that were poor maybe on your behalf, because they didn't lead to the results that you wanted. Right? And so I started to look at that, and I started to look at, whether it's for yourself or towards others. And so now I start to look at people and I see issues with the shoulder or the hips. And I start to basically, I call it a movement ayahuasca. And I'll spend, 5 to 6, I know, lovely, huh? I spent 5 to 6 hours with people talking. So I create a whole experience with any client that I have. And so I'll take them out for dinner, have a nice dinner with some wine, some whiskey, whatever, have a talk, get to actually have a connection with the person. And then the next day we'll get together, I'll pick them up, we'll go to the gym, and I'll start going through different exercises, reaching certain parts of the body. I use the nervous system, the hierarchy of the nervous system, to reach a certain goal, and I use certain cycles, and the results have been incredible, man. I mean, I've had a guy that's done an actual ayahuasca and said that I was able to tear off the layers, if you will, like the emotional layers, a lot quicker within a 2-hour session than he did with a week-long ayahuasca. And so I'm able to kind of hit certain things. But again, that's me standing on my own 2 feet. That'll eventually end up being a branch off of a strong fit. But it's something that you need to tread with very carefully, because it sound very hippie herbal medicine.
Well, it's subjective. It's difficult to point out exactly what it is, right? And that's where in today's world, if you can't point at it, then
I don't want to just put things out there, because then I don't. For me, that's something that I'm using with a very small group that I have in my mentoring groups.
Yeah.
And so I need to test out a lot more.
Sure.
But I've done over 100 assessments now since Australia.
Yep.
Every time, man, it's been very impressive. The results you get, the vulnerability that you're able to create with the client. I had a guy that literally just by talking with me, and then I had him do a cycle, and then we started talking again, and you saw his left shoulder go from here to here. It just dropped straight down, and his shoulder pain went away.
When you say cycle, you mean the cycle of the nervous system?
Phylogenic hierarchy, yeah. So what Julian kind of drew up for the nervous system.
So this is what's one of the things I learned from one of my early mentors was understanding that from their learnings and their education, it's like we hold feminine energy in the left side of our body, and we hold masculine energy in the right side of the body. And
many different cultures.
Yeah. Yeah. And what's interesting around that is the injuries that we may have, right, often give us indications around what's actually going on. And I remember, and like, it's sort of like, I don't know, I didn't look far enough into it to be like, this is what's going on, but I'm like, that's really interesting. And then seeing patterns both within myself and then patterns within other people as well. I remember one time I tore the ligaments in my right ankle from stepping down from a box. Like, it was just such a mundane thing. But at that stage, I was in a stage where I wasn't making decisions. So I wasn't in the masculine energy of being direct. Now, that doesn't mean like the man is the person who makes the decisions. It's just the masculine energy that is a direct form of energy, hence testosterone. And what I understood was that what I was waiting for permission from a larger male to do something, or a male that I put on a larger pedestal to do something that was important to me. And it's like I had to learn to actually stand on my masculine. And but because of that, I had this injury on the thing that supports the whole masculine side of my body. And whether that was it or not, I don't have an issue with that ankle at all anymore whatsoever. It was one of the lessons that I took from that, regardless, was like, all right, I just got to fucking make decisions and do this and actually stop waiting for permission and figure it out myself.
I mean, it's a super interesting concept. And for me, like, I love working with people. I have an assessment this week with somebody that suffers massively from panic attacks, like hysteric panic attacks. And I'm really excited. And that's kind of where I've started to direct my flow is, I think that it's always just kind of brushed under the carpet until, celebrities suffer from it. And then that's when it becomes a big thing. And for me, I think anxiety in this day and age, in the culture that we have in Western culture, is just massive. So I think anxiety and suicide and depression are such big issues that we're not addressing. And I think that the drug use is a byproduct of it. not the other way around. And so I think that's something that we definitely need to, we as coaches, as people that, you know, they say training, you know, can heal so much, but it needs to be the correct type of training. Again, going back to intent, right? Understanding that certain training could make it worse. And so that for me is really big. Is I want to do better so that I can help the most people in my reach. Yep. If every time that I come to somebody, I want to create a positive impact in their life. You know, with all this stuff, like I started joking around with Julian because I was in a plane and dude, it was like 4 o'clock in the morning talking to this lady. And then I started watching my movie and she starts crying on my shoulder. And I'm like, yeah, let's cry it out. I mean, you know, what do you do? You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to be an asshole, but I did a simple kind of 4-pack diaphragm massage and just kind of talked to her a little bit. And I showed her the oblique opener and what I was really trying to get to and what the intent behind it was. And she had this massive just fucking flood of emotions come out halfway through the plane. And she walked out of that plane so much happier. And I'm like, that to me is a win. Like, I affected one person today. What else do I want in my life?
I love that you just started massaging someone on a plane.
Yeah, human connection.
Well, not really massaging.
Just like,
I mean, she was touching herself. I was talking her through what
guiding.
She was feeling.
Yeah, you're doing it wrong. Yeah.
Physical human connection is really like crucial, and people don't realize how important that is. Like, especially in an isolated state, like all it takes is someone to be like, "Hey," and like immediately, whoa,
it changes.
Touch me,
dude. I tell every coach that I work with, I was like, if you want a new client, go sit in an Uber and talk to the person. Dude, I've had 7 Uber drivers get out of their car and come into the gym with me so I can do some shit with them. You know what I mean? Like half of them are my Facebook friends, dude.
Like, lateral business. Yeah. Be the Uber driver.
Yeah.
Uber driver, yeah.
Oh, look, we happen to be here.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's really fun.
I would like to say that you said before, talking about the ayahuasca, the energy systems of the body, and I assume you didn't want to say it, but probably like chakra stuff as well.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one, huh?
It's just the track.
Go look at the torque chain maps and then look at the chakra points.
And that's what I was getting to. To those that are kind of maybe listening to this and going, the fuck? Like, what are you talking about? Just do some research.
Yeah.
Instead of having that really like shelved off, not being a dick, but ignorant, blanked off opinion, go do the research, test it yourself, and just see what happens, see what comes up with it.
Yeah.
And your what did you call it? Movement ayahuasca?
Yeah.
You should pair that with an actual ayahuasca thing. Have a whole thing where you just do both together and strip it all apart, man. Let's talk.
I have a coach in Holland that is big into the ayahuasca, so I may go try it out. I just don't like puking, dude.
You don't like what?
Puking.
Oh, right.
Well, you'll
throw up.
Actually, I won't say that. It's one or the other. But.
Yeah, but I mean, I've heard great stories, so I will eventually go try it.
Awesome. All right, I think it's time to wrap it up there. I'm done with questions. I mean, I've got heaps, but I think my brain is definitely in a parasympathetic state as well. Yeah, I didn't even need wine. I think in about an hour, I think a whiskey might get poured. So
right now, even
possibly, indeed, an Irish coffee, mate. Thank you so much for sharing your time again. I'm sure, no doubt, we'll catch up on the podcast before you guys get across to Australia, because you are coming to Australia in 2019.
Yes, April.
We're just confirming the dates.
Stay tuned, y'all.
So,
man. I love it.
You've got one on the East Coast and you've got one on the West Coast. Is that correct?
Yes. So we're going to set one up in Perth. If you're a gym that wants to host us in Perth, send me an email at richard@strongfit.com.
Mm-hmm.
We've gotten lots of requests. I don't remember the gyms. So if anybody in Perth is looking, and then we'll be with you guys.
Yeah. Really excited. So
good times.
Mate, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Richard.
Big love as always. And for anyone, once again, if they don't know where to find it, where could they find out more about you and StrongFit?
So if you go to strongfit.com, we have all the events. I'm at Rare Barracuda on Instagram. It's a good name, I know.
Great.
Or StrongFit1 on Instagram. And Julian posts all kinds of stuff.
Fantastic. Guys, as always, if you found this podcast beneficial, it would mean the world to us if you could share with someone else that you would also find it beneficial. Otherwise, as always, until tomorrow. Peace and pizza.
Thanks, man.
Keep today in the dick. Slay the dragon. I'll see you guys soon.
Bam.